And hello, folks. This is your old pal, Uncle Al. This is part of apartment survival. We did the 10 things every apartment prepper should have. Go back and check that video out. Now it's the last one. Because a lot of people, they don't have the stuff I listed, and plus a bonus one. They don't have it. They don't have the basic necessities they need. They missed something off that list, and I'm going one by one each time. Now, you have to face the hard truth. You have comfortable lies and the hard truth. 90% of people live in urban areas. They live in apartment buildings, all right? I used to handyman apartment buildings, from the really nice condo ones to the crappy Section 8. It wasn't a pleasant job. Now, you have to understand, an apartment or a condo is a temporary structure. It needs a lot of things to work. And I keep warning people about this. It's a multi-level dwelling. It's not a house. It's not like the old 50s style building. It is a living, breathing thing. So anything could go wrong with it. And a lot of people forget that if your apartment has central air, that means it goes through all the apartments. Not that apartment only. So you're probably getting fourth or third generation air going through massive pumps and filters and comes back to your house. That's why a lot of places don't allow smoking. Second is, how high is your apartment? Remember, these newer apartments were built up higher or older, retrofitted. They weren't designed for into cubicle apartments. They used to be like a brownstone or something like that. And then the landlord, being cheap and a slumlord, chopped them up into little apartment buildings. Okay, higher it goes up, worse it gets. This is basically, we're going to cover the first one, plumbing. If you're on the first 3 floors and the pumps stop, all that refuse from the top floors will go down into the next floor. So the first floor, if you have a 10-story apartment building, you have 9 stories of waste and water coming down into that apartment. Okay? This is why you have the pumps running. Nobody knows this. In the big city, they hardly notice, except the old guy trying to fix everything and cursing you in 3 different languages. Okay? Bad thing is, without those pumps, everything will end up either in the basement, lowest level. That's all where everything flows. Okay? So you got to remember, if you're using a water bulb for the bathtub, you have to seal the tub. That means in the drain hole, you have to duct tape it with a rubber seal, and on the vent hole on the side, tape that. Or you're going to have a lot of pressure coming back out and squirting things that you don't want to be on your bob or in your bob. You don't want to see your bob 150 gallons of water floating around in sewage. Same goes for the toilet. You don't want to see The Exorcist or fountains of poo coming out of your toilet or your kitchen sink. This is how bad the first 3 floors are. So higher the building is, like they said, poo, waste flows downhill. Okay? And it's a lot worse in the city. If you live in an older district and they don't have those pumps on, it back flushes. So everything that you flush down in the block comes back from every building in the block to the lowest building on the block. Okay? Texas, they had YouTube videos during this, this snowcalopolis, and they have frozen feces everywhere coming out of sinks and toilets. So imagine that. Second thing is heat. Okay, I tell people a lot of these places have either a central command for air, or you'll have a unit for each apartment that flows hot air. Once the power goes off, you don't get hot, nice, warm, climate controlled air. It goes kaput. All right? So basically, you're in a metal box freezing your buns off. Again, example, go see Texas. And a lot of people look at me and they're scratching their heads. I don't know, Uncle Al. I haven't even got to the third part. This is why you should be ready to evacuate from your apartment. But we're going to hole in there. So you're on the first floor of a 20-story apartment building and you're going to hole in there. Yeah, we'll be safe. I live in earthquake country. Do you know what a building, if it smashes, a lot of people forgot back in the 90s in the Bay Area, what happened to the lower 3 floors. Okay, think about that one. Again, your position in the apartment building. Again, can you have some source of heat? Or if not, you have to evacuate. Now, in our area, where the Southwest, you could probably get by with a simple heater, not a problem. But in northern climates and wet climates, that's a real risk that you might die in the apartment from cold. So think that very carefully. And don't get the stupid idea, we'll use our grills and heat it up the house. Fire hazard if it's propane, gas hazard if it's a charcoal grill. I've seen people kill themselves dragging in their Webers and loading up with charcoal. Never do that to heat up your house. That'll kill you faster than lightning. Okay? That's one of the problems. Another problem is water. Remember, waste goes downhill. Water can't travel uphill. So once the pumps loose, that's the citywide pumps, loses pressure, you don't know what you're getting of water. It might be going back out, or worse, sucking something worse up there, and you get green or chunky water coming out of the tap. That's why I tell everybody get a Berkey filter or a gravity filter or a first need filter. Okay? And do the 3-step process. Coffee filter, chemical dosage, you dose it with your favorite chemicals, and then use whatever filtration device you're using. 3 steps. That way you have no problem on water. I always tell people to store water. That's the easiest and safest way you could do it. If you don't want to lug bottles, get a water service. That's also easy and it's not hard. But remember, every apartment building is a temporary lodging. Okay? It's not a permanent one. It's not a house. It's not a homestead. It is a temporary lodging. They're great targets in war zone. They can't withstand everything. And the big dreaded thing is fire. So if you're on like a duplex or a smaller 3-story one, if you have means to get out through the window, like a fire ladder, they have a lot on sale at Tractor Supply and Lowe's. It's a little chain ladder that you could hook on, bolts onto the windowsill, and you get out the window. Okay? Not a problem. A lot of people goof this up. I mean, seriously goof this up. All right, folks? So think about it. A lot of things went bad in the last couple of years, and I keep warning people about this. Okay, so if you live in apartment buildings, make sure you have plans to evacuate. If you're going to stay there, assess your risk. The benefits of staying there and not staying there. And again, you have to worry about the main problem. There's other people living there and they don't know how to survive. So you might get chance of being gassed out of your house. The house is on fire. The building's on fire. The building's got gas. There's 100 things that could go wrong. And you're in that building. It could look like the Towering Inferno. That's an old movie nobody ever watches. And and you're trapped on there. Okay? So think very clearly if your structure is safe enough to survive. If it is, and it's like a two-story duplex, you have a first floor and a second floor, then no problem. But you have to understand, you might not get water and you might not get heat. And in colder regions, that's going to be a big problem. Okay? We already talked about security, and now we're going to talk about, should I stay in an apartment building or find a safe location? And remember, 90% of the United States live in apartment buildings or in the suburbs or out in a farm. I have to make myself clear. So assess your risk to that unit you're living in. Okay? This is a big problem with apartment survival. Make sure that you check all the lists. You have to check sewer, water, heat, escape from fire, escape from building collapse, earthquakes, and or tornadoes, anything like that. Is your structure strong enough? Okay, because I've seen some really horrible things, and they say these apartments are hurricane proof, and when they come back after the hurricane, there's not a single apartment left. So think about it. Assess your damage and assess your apartment building. See how long can you last. Can you live out without power for 3 days in your apartment? That's no air conditioning, no heat, no power, no sewer. Okay, and you think about that carefully. And I'll catch you later. I'll be seeing you. Bye now.